Let's make a habit out of this. Stay tuned for Airgun Detectives.
Welcome to another episode of Airgun Detectives. I'm your host, JC. Today, we get to take the mystery out of the Gamo. This is the G-Magnum Jungle in 22 caliber. It's pretty exciting, but before we get to that, do me a favor, if you hadn't, hit that little subscribe button down there in the corner. It doesn't cost you anything. It's absolutely free, but it really helps support the channel. And don't forget, I hooked you guys up with those firearm guards, those moisture blocks. They suck out moisture out of your gun safe, gym bag, wherever you want. But promo code Airgun, and you get free shipping. So that's pretty good. Also, I've had some inquiries about my bipod kits. You know, if I've been out of those for a few months, just to give you guys a little bit of background, I've been trying diligently to get these bipods produced again. And the distributor I was using before, he just flat out didn't carry them anymore. So I finally, and I'm telling you, this is a trying experience. I would work with someone and then they would disappear. And I worked with a second person, they disappeared. I finally found someone locally that I'm working with. So I'm coming out with Generation 2 on the bipod kits. They're an improved version of what we had before. I personally designed these, upgraded these. So those should be coming out very, very soon. I'll let you guys know. In fact, I'll do a video and show you the difference on these kits when they come out. But I haven't forgot about you, and I know I've gotten a lot of emails from you, and I'm making a list, and I'll shoot out some emails as soon as they're available. All right, so let's get back to our Jungle. Yeah, this is a 22 caliber break barrel that Gamo's putting out. It comes, let me just show you, it comes just in a basic box. It doesn't come in like a specific one. It's just kind of a Gamo box. So it's your basic cardboard box. The rifle comes with a scope. It comes with this, it's a 3x9x40. No adjustable objective, but this is kind of your stock Gamo scope. We'll pull it out here and show it to you. And then it comes with your scope rails too, as well. So here's your, it's not a bad scope. I personally like the adjustable objective, but it's not a bad scope. You guys can see this here. Let me show you up close. It's not a bad scope. But anyway, it's a 3x9 by 40. So anyway, that scope comes with the gun. You also get fiber optic open sights on this. So if you'll see this, you've got your green here in the back, and then you can see the red right here in the front. So they're fully adjustable. The stock is kind of this cool, it's a jungle green, I'll call it. But it's kind of unique. And it's got it's a nylon stock with a raised cheek piece. It's got their shockwave absorber right here in the back, which is kind of typical to some of the other Gamos. Oh, and by the way, this green rubber band, if you don't like it, it comes right off. This is just kind of how Gamo categorizes their guns. Green means it's good for hunting. But it's got a nice little thumb hold stock. It's pretty much the same shape of stock that's on the Generation 2. Pretty much the same stock, it's just a different color. They claim this thing shoots about 1,300 feet per second with one of their platinum pellets, but you know, we're gonna go test it. We'll put it over the Chroning. Thing weighs just under 7 pounds, about 6.8 pounds. That's without the scope. It does have their recoil reducing rail. As I've told you before, I'm just not a big fan of it because I've blown out quite a few scopes using their rail. This does have the nice cat trigger. This is a 2-stage fully adjustable trigger. And when you put my trigger screw kit in, it even makes it better, and I'll show you that as we move forward. The cocking on this is 41 pounds. Okay, now the secret. This is a spring piston. It is not a gas piston. It's a spring piston. But I gotta be honest with you. If I've been experiencing with a lot of different air guns, I'm really leaning toward the springs. I really like the springs. Why? Because they're easy to work on. If a spring breaks on you, or if you want a stronger spring, it's really easy to find those and put those in the gun. And I just kind of had a bad experience recently with a Hudson. One of the 125 snipers that I had, I did a review last year with one of each of the calibers. So the 177 caliber I had no more than 100 shots through it at all. So it's basically been sitting for a year. I went and picked it up the other day, and Went to cock it, the barrel came right down. The piston lost all its air. I recharged it, within 12 hours it lost it again, so it's a bad piston. And unfortunately, they are back ordered through Hudson. But let's get back to the Gamo anyway. So that's my experience with some gas pistons. You don't have that issue with the spring. So the caulking on this, it's got about a 40-pound caulking effort, right around 40, 41 pounds, right around there. The gun is just under 50 inches in length. It's 49, just a little bit over 49 inches. So it's a pretty neat gun. It has a 33 millimeter cylinder, so it's got a pretty good size diameter spring in there. These retail for about $240. So overall, it's a good looking gun. Has some really neat features, but how well does it perform? Well, stay tuned for the next segment, and we're going to show you. Let's see how well our Gamo G-Magnum Jungle does as far as the chronograph, and see what type of velocity we can produce. I'm just going to use these cheap Crossman Premiers. I'm just going to shoot 5 shots on them. They're just a basic pellet, kind of give you guys an idea. However, when we're done shooting 5 shots and averaging that out, I'm going to cover 5 other pellets that I used off camera, and I'll give you the feet per second and the foot-pounds of energy on those. So let's do 5 shots and see how well we make out. The only problem with these cheap pellets is there's inconsistency. Like this one fits real snug. You watch, we're going to get high velocity on this one. 962. And then some of them fit a little soft in there, and you'll lose 30 feet per second. Let's, and shot number 2. 960. That should be another good one. Shot number 3. 947. Okay. Shot number 4. $9.54. And last but not least, shot number 5. $9.57. Not too shabby. So there's your feet per second, your foot-pounds of energy, and notice we did add a little dB meter, so there's your dB reading as well. Okay, so off camera, I tried the Hornets, which were actually one of this rifle's favorites. Kind of ironic, when I did the Gamo Magnum Swarm, the Generation 2, it liked the Hornet pellets as well. So the 16.2 Hornets gave us 910 feet per second and just under 30 foot-pounds of energy. The Field Target Trophies, they're the 14.66. They give us 935 feet per second and about 28.5 pounds. The 18.13, the JSBs, the heavier, the Diablo, we got 848 feet per second, and we got right at 29 foot-pounds of energy. And then I tried for fun, I tried the GTOs. They're 11.75 grain. They're kind of the lighter pellet. They're non-lead. I got 1,100 feet per second average on those, and that's about 31.5 foot-pounds of energy. But remember, that's out of the muzzle. The heavier pellets have a tendency to give you more foot-pounds of energy downrange. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's move on to the next segment. Let's see how well our Jungle does. We're at a usual 20 yards. Go ahead and take a look. Anyway, we'll go ahead and shoot 5 shots. The pellets I like the best, actually, and they were all pretty close, actually, even the ones that I showed you across the Chrony. But the Hornets, the 16.20 grain, they got the edge on accuracy. They got the edge on foot-pounds of energy when you're talking about 20 yards down range. And they have the #1 piercing power, that's for sure. Also, I want to thank Splatterburst for supplying us with these targets. They're great for showing exactly where our rounds hit downrange. Even with my older eyes, I can see actually the impact points for the most part. So let's shoot 5 shots and we'll go from there. All right. I'm a little shaky today. That's one. That's 2. Remember, we're going for grouping. We're trying to see how well this groups. Okay. That's 3. That's 4. And 1 more. God, I love these pellets. They fit really nice in the breech too. Not too shabby. That might have been me on the last one. As you saw, pretty much the rest of them, the previous ones went all through the hole, but not a bad group. And if I hadn't mentioned this spring piston on this thing, it's amazing. You get 0 twang out of that. All right, let's move on to the next segment. All right, real quick, I just want to show you some penetration power on this. I've got our little empty green propane can sitting 20 yards downrange. We're going to go ahead and see if we can punch a hole in it. Yes, with our Hornets. It's our 16.20 grain, as I mentioned before. So let's see if we can punch a hole in that sucker. Well, let's have a closer look. All right. All right, let's show you this up close. Yep, punched a hole right through it. That's some amazing power there. Let's move on to the next segment. Okay, let's do a trigger test on our Gamo Jungle here, right out of the box. I have not touched this trigger, but I'm going to show you the difference because we're going to do this, and then I'm going to upgrade it with a trigger screw, my trigger screw kit, which you can get on my website, and we'll see the difference. So let's see what it looks like right out of the box. So we have our trusty Lyman trigger gauge here, and let's see how well we do. All right. All right, that was 3 pounds, 7.7 ounces. 3 pounds, 7.7 ounces. That's not bad. That's not a bad trigger for a Magnum out of the box. But let's see the difference with the trigger screw kit installed. Now we'll test the trigger with my upgraded trigger screw kit. By the way, that's available on my website, as you guys know, just www.airgundetectives.com. It's good for the plastic, Gamo, and SAT triggers. But some of you guys send me messages, hey, will it fit this, will it fit this? Look, it'll only fit the SAT and the CAT trigger, and they're both plastic, and you can see what the pictures of what each of the triggers look like. So if you have one of those triggers, then the trigger screw kit will work for you. All right, but like anything else, don't do any upgrades on your air gun unless you check with the manufacturer as far as the warranty goes, and you need to be a professional or be very skillful when it comes to working on air guns. Just keep that in mind. All right, let's test and see how well the trigger does. Now, our trusty Lyman trigger gauge once again. Let's get this set. We're good to go. Alrighty. And 2 pounds, 2.7 ounces. That's 2 pounds, 2.7 ounces. Yes, that does make a big difference as far as when you're trying to do some skillful target shooting. All right, let's move on to the next segment. My favorite portion, the plinking. Hoping to get this in before sundown here. We're at usual distance, 40 yards back. Go ahead and take a look. See, we got a nice big Sprite can there. Little egg, little pig, I think a little shotgun shell. So we're going to try our best, see what we can do on those. We're going to use our Hornets again, our H&N 16.20. Let's see how well we do. I think we'll start out with that Sprite can, because if I hit the metal targets, usually fragments will poke a hole in the can and ruin it for us. We want to blow that thing up. I want to show you the raw power of this. So, let's take out our Sprite can first. Not too shabby. That is some raw power, if you think about it. All right. Oh, it left our shotgun shell there. Let's try to get rid of that. I'd say that's a hit. I'm really liking this rifle, just so you guys know. Anyway, how about the little egg? All right, and let's get rid of the big pig. That is sheer power. It's a pretty doggone good accuracy too. All right, let's go wrap this thing up. All right, let's wrap this up with our conclusion. How did our G-Magnum Jungle do? Actually pretty well. But as in each review, I'm going to tell you the negatives first. All right, the negatives on this, I'm not a big fan of the recoil reducing rail. I'm just not, because I've lost several scopes with it. The other thing I'm not a big fan of is, check this out. The cheek piece on this, it's a high cheek piece. So if you're trying to shoot open sights, it's really difficult to get a sight picture. Here's my sight picture. So now I have my upper cheekbone resting on here, which honestly, that could be really uncomfortable on the recoil on this. You want the side of your cheek to rest on normally on a stock. The problem is this is a raised cheek piece, so it puts your point of aim and your vision way above the sight level. So in order to get to a true sight picture, check this out. I'm going to show you guys. So if I'm doing a true sight picture, I got to get down almost like that. So that's very difficult. So if you're a person that likes to shoot open sights, then I wouldn't recommend this model. I wouldn't. I would go with the standard Gamo Magnum that has the lower level stock, like that one right there. So it doesn't have the raised cheek piece. It's a lower level nylon stock, and I reviewed that gun before. Basically, it's identical. It's just a different stock. All right, what else? The scope. I'm not a big fan of the non-objective, adjustable objective scope. I like to have that, and I like to have a mil dot. Because when you're shooting different distances, anywhere between 20, 40 yards, like this gun shot a little bit high at 40 yards, so I had to use the mil dots to adjust it. But these scopes are pretty cool, and they're put out, these are BSA scopes, which are now owned by Gamo, which is ironic. And you can find these on sale once in a while. I get them well under $100. This is a 3x9x40, and it even comes with these scope rings. But I'm gonna give you a little secret here. So you see, this has a scope pin on the front scope mount here. Now I switched these. Normally they come with the pin in the back attached, but you want to put the pin in the front. Why? Because of the way this recoil reducing rail is. You want that pin to be able to drop down in, and that way it'll keep this from sliding once you buckle it down and get this really tight, and then it's not going to slide. And the pin won't line up with the back hole. It'll end up, what'll happen is the rear mount will end up having to mount over the back portion of the recoil reducing rail, and then it'll completely eliminate it for what it's supposed to do. So just a little trick is just move your pin mount to the front. Okay. So I wish it came with a better scope, but at least Gamo's making those pretty good outlet scopes now, and they're pretty reasonable. I'll leave a link down below for them in case you're interested in that. One other thing I wish it had a muzzle brake here on the end, or maybe some type of noise dampening system. The gun's, in my opinion, it's probably a medium to higher range. It's still backyard friendly, but the muzzle brake would be great for cocking the gun. And addition, they make a pretty good suppressor, so it would actually quiet that down even more so, which would be great. Okay, so that's me being picky JC on the rifle. But overall, how did this thing perform? Well, I gotta be honest with you, I really like the spring piston in this. The cocking effort is right around 40 pounds. It's smooth. The best part of this, there's zero twang. You will not know you're shooting a spring piston in this rifle compared to the gas piston. It's completely silent and smooth. So you gotta hand it to Gamo for that. The power we got out of this was tremendous. We were almost getting 30 foot-pounds of energy. Actually, we were with off camera on some of the other pellets I was using. I was getting 30 plus foot-pounds of energy. So this will give you up to 30 foot-pounds of energy, which is pretty amazing. The accuracy, not bad. Oh, let me back up just 1 second here. You guys saw the piercing test I did. That was on a empty propane tank, and you know how thick the walls are in that. And this thing pierced it with one of those terrific Hornet pellets with ease, not even an issue whatsoever. By the way, those Hornet pellets, if you saw my review on the G2 Magnum Swarm, it loved those Hornet pellets. This rifle loves them as well, and they're a 16.2 grain pellet, so you're getting some decent weight out of that and great velocity, so you're getting good foot-pounds of energy downrange, which is nice. But again, I do love the way the spring piston is in here, and it's just so smooth and accurate. But yes, we got good accuracy. We got the 0.38 of an inch at 20 yards, which was not a bad group at all, if I do say so myself. Also, I do like the trigger, the cat trigger here, and then I sell the screw kits for these on my website, and you saw what it did. It brought it from a 3.7 to just barely over a 2-pound trigger. So we took about 1.5 pounds off of that, which is nice, and it makes it really, at that weight, it was still in a nice safe position, and it was much more controllable as far as shooting for accuracy. So you got to think, for $240, it's quite the gun. I mean, there's not too many guns, Breakbarrel 22 calibers, that you're going to get 30 foot-pounds of energy out of. You're just not. They're just not out there. But this whole package was $240, and it was on sale around Christmas time for much less than that. I don't know who has these now, because Gamo's out of them now. Hopefully they'll be bringing some more of these back, but it's a heck of a bargain if you think about it. So, how would I rate this? Because I am very picky. I'm still going to give it 4 3/4 stars. Okay, 4 3/4 stars. You saw my negatives, but there's a lot of positives too, and it's a lot of value. $240. It's a lot of gun for that. It really is. Anyway, with that, don't forget to check out my website, www.airgundetectives.com. I have the trigger kits there. And remember, they're only for the SAT and the cat trigger. Those are the plastic triggers. I showed you what the pictures of them looked like before, so just remember that. And I got t-shirts there, and hopefully my bipods will be coming out here pretty soon. We'll have those. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. I really do, as always. I appreciate your support. If you hadn't, please hit that subscribe. It's free, but it really helps the channel. So don't forget, this is where we take the mystery out of the air gun. Until next time, hope you guys have a great week.